What's up, witches, and welcome to Salem, the weirdest place on earth. I'm very excited today because this is my last episode from the quarantine dungeon. If all goes well, next week I should be back in my beloved New England, so you will either see my face there or maybe a video will be coming out in which my face is not featured. You'll have to wait and see. I'm very excited today to bring you Salem from home. Today we're doing a virtual tour of the Witch City. As I record this, it is May 2020, so these are things you can jump in and do right now. If they're not there when you're watching this in the future, apologies, but there are going to be some resources down in the description that probably won't change, so you can lean on those at whatever point in the distant future you happen to be watching this from. So grab your witch hat, smudge your room, let's jump into our virtual tour of Salem, Massachusetts. So the first way that you can visit Salem from home is via a good book. Luckily for us, there is a fantastic Facebook group going on right now that is sharing books all related to the Witch Cities, Salem witch trials, modern day Salem, all of that. So this group is just called Book Club with an exclamation point, and it's being put on by the Salem Witch Museum. Some books from this group that I would personally recommend are Six Women of Salem, Escaping Salem, and The Witch of Blackbird Pond. I get questions in my email and on DMs and comments and stuff here about primary sources of the Salem witch trials, about books about Salem, about just some supplemental stuff to read about Salem, Massachusetts. And while I have many of my own personal favorites, I actually think this group is a much better place to get started. So jump into that Facebook group, find yourself a new book, and enjoy Salem that way. So that's the first way you can kind of visit Salem from home, but this video is called a virtual tour of Salem, so let's get virtual. heritageathome.org is an absolutely fantastic site to check out any time of the year. But right now they have this whole area up on site called Explore Online that allows you to check out a bunch of cultural sites in and around Salem. So a lot of Salem websites, my own included, don't really do necessarily a great job of going sort of attraction by attraction and offering in-depth information about every single one. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. Back off. Heritage at Home, though, is definitely one of the better ones. So you can check out this list, which is in the description, for kind of a nice comprehensive list of Salem attractions in general. So if you are planning a trip, this is actually a really good place to start to understand what the Witch City has to offer. That is, of course, if you're not going to get that information from tosalem.com. And why wouldn't you? In addition to just a really nice listing of the normal attractions that are in and around Salem, they have a really cool listing of attractions and experiences that you can engage with online. Some of these include browsing the Peabody Essex Museum's galleries. They have contests. They have a bunch of just cool general site content and a whole lot of stuff. Check it out. While we're on the subject of Peabody Essex Museum, they've actually been, I would say, among the best, if not the best, about offering experiences to continue enjoying while Salem is under the lockdown. So I'm just going to mention one sort of little area of something that they're doing currently, offering an experience from home if you are missing Salem and if you have kids especially. But I would honestly just recommend going to the Peabody Essex Museum's website and signing up for their newsletter. They have this whole PEM from home thing going on. It's a really bigger topic than I'm going to get into here, but trust me on this, you're going to be glad you did it if you go and do it. So in addition to the stuff that you can find in PEM from home and online galleries, which is really rad, PEM is offering this really cool Get Creative at Home program. And I thought I would throw this into the video for anybody who has kids right now and is trying to find, resources online to engage those kids, keep them engaged with educational content. So link is in the description for this as well. But basically what you need to know is there's a whole set of different programs and activities and things to engage with your kids there at the Get Creative at Home page. Most of these activities are kind of designed to stimulate your kids' creative juices, which is something I think we all desperately need to make sure we keep doing in this time. So some of the stuff that's included in this program are things like video tutorials. There's a weekly program that teaches kids about art and tells them all kinds of cool stories. There's a really interesting program about coloring book printing and binding. So there's really a ton there. So check out the link in the description, especially if you have kids. This is a fantastic way to visit Salem virtually. Salem.org is another site that is offering all kinds of cool virtual experiences from all around the Witch City. Now, where Heritage at Home is really focusing on cultural and historic sites, Salem.org has a really wide array of stuff you can do from home that isn't necessarily locked within the realm of culture and history. But like Heritage at Home, this is another listing of a bunch of different places putting up different virtual experiences. Some of the things you can access via this site are things like live lectures. You can browse galleries outside of PEM. There's some music education stuff there. You can get a tarot reading. And again, this is all coming from the stores and attractions and places around Salem. So this is a fantastic way to support your own preferred Salem destination. If they happen to be on site there, make sure you check out whatever it is that they are offering. Everybody on this listing is offering some sort of virtual something. So just head there, link in the description, check it out, and see if there's some way that you can support a Salem attraction or business through these particularly fascinating times we live in. At number 5, we have something that's really, really cool called Expeditions. Now, I don't know if you've heard about Google Cardboard or not, but Google Cardboard is basically a very cheap way to experience virtual reality, provided that you have a smartphone. So as sort of a companion to Google Cardboard, Google has offered something called Expeditions for a while now. And you could go just check out Expeditions. There are tons of Expeditions for you to check out, and not just ones connected to Salem. They do a really good job at Expeditions of providing immersive stuff for you to fall into. And it's important for me to mention here that you don't actually need the Google Cardboard to do all of this. All you need is the smartphone. Google Cardboard will help you. You'll be able to put it on your face and have a really virtual, immersive look around sort of experience. But if you don't have Google Cardboard, you can do all of this on your phone. So this is all free. That's something else to know. So it's actually really a good tool too if you've never been to Salem and are kind of curious about what the attractions in Salem look like or feel like or what they offer. You can go to Expeditions and check out really some of the most fantastic attractions that Salem has to offer. All for free. You can check out the Witch House, the Rebecca Nurse Homestead, Pioneer Village, and my personal favorite on that site is the House of the Seven Gables. Not because it's my favorite attraction out of that set, but because when they recorded the experience at the House of the Seven Gables, they decided to put people in the house and they're all dressed in like Puritan garb. I know that the intention was to flesh this experience out and make it more immersive, but the way it struck me is just creepy as hell. So I honestly just like to browse the House of the Seven Gables experience every once in a while and just stare at the people. I'm not weird, Mom. In addition to just being able to look around all of these really cool attractions, you can also swipe up for little placards that have information on the room that you're currently in. And each place kind of tells a different story. So you can learn a lot about Nathaniel Hawthorne via the Seven Gables experience. You can learn about the Salem witch trials at the Rebecca Nurse Homestead. So again, there's a link in the description for all of these Salem experiences. All you need is a smartphone to go check it out absolutely for free. So there's your virtual tour of Salem, Massachusetts, literally a virtual tour. You can go browse around virtually right now. But wait, there's more. I am stupid excited to announce this. I was going to announce it last week, so sorry if you tuned into last week's video for this announcement. Things got a bit jumbled, whatever. You'll know why when I announce what the thing is. 2 Salem is developing an actual immersive Salem experience. So this is a narrative driven, sort of escape gamey, choose your own adventure-y, puzzly, scary, spooky, ooky kind of thing. And we are about to go into alpha testing. Now, if you're not familiar with the world of app development and video games and all of that, alpha testing is basically us saying, look, all the rough pieces are in place. We want some people to test this thing out to make sure it feels good, give us some feedback on what's working, what's not working. And then we're going to take all that feedback, turn it either into a finished product or maybe go into further testing via like a beta phase. So we are doing a very, very specific limited alpha testing with this experience. And I could think of no better random group of population people who would be into this sort of thing to ask to alpha test it than you. So because you are a fan of the YouTube channel, you have preferential access to get into the alpha to test this thing out if you want it. Again, space is super duper limited. So if you do everything I'm about to say and I respond to you and say, I'm sorry, but the alpha is closed, sorry. Maybe you can get into the beta if there's a beta. We'll see. So again, this is sort of a choose your own adventure, kind of winding narratives, very story driven, meant to be spooky, very hard puzzles actually. This is not a kid's game. This is meant for teenagers and upwards. Not to say there's mature content in it, but we actually are trying to make it somewhat difficult. So perhaps not the best thing for youngins. If you do get into the alpha testing, you will be testing it in a browser, so there's no need to have a smartphone or whatever. It will work on a browser on a smartphone, but you don't have to download anything. Anyway, I've talked enough about the alpha testing. Here's what you got to do to get into the test. First, you got to subscribe to the channel. Then you got to click the link in the description that will take you to a form to fill out. Fill out that form and you will be entered into the running to be in the alpha test for this game. We're expecting that to start in the next 2 weeks or so this is all going to be a very quick sort of turnaround thing. I'm ridiculously excited about it. I honestly can't believe it's happening. Been working on this thing in the background for a while now, and it's the first of sort of many kinds of experiences like this that we're working on. Anyway, to get you interested in the game itself, I've included the prologue for the game at the end of this video. So the audio on this thing is finished. It's a general introduction to the story. The visuals are still being tweaked for the moment. We just have kind of visual placeholders to give you an overall sense of the tone and the aesthetic and how it's going to feel to play this thing. So give that a watch at the end of this video, and if you decide you want to be in the alpha, subscribe to the channel and hit the very top link in the description below to be entered into the running to take part in the alpha. So there you go. There's 6, I said 5, you actually got 6 ways to virtually experience Salem, Massachusetts. Do you have another way that I didn't mention in this video? Leave it in the comments below so other people watching this channel can know about that. Please do take a moment to subscribe, hit the bell, and check out the brand spanking new tosalem.com. We got a whole new look, a whole new infrastructure there. Things are really stupid fast right now. Also posting a lot on the Instagram these days, a bunch of really cool pictures from my various experiences in Salem, Massachusetts. So be sure to check that out. Thanks so much for watching this video. When next we meet, I will be back in merry old New England. Stay weird, witches. I'll see you next time. All Hallows Eve in Salem, Massachusetts. It's a night unlike any other, in a place unlike any other. The city is packed with tourists. They swarm Essex and Washington streets, fill the common, march in parades down tree-lined lanes. Everyone's night is loud and electric and teeming with life, but not yours. No. This Halloween instead finds you alone, sipping a warm apple cider in your dining room, far enough from the bustle of downtown Salem that you can barely even hear it. Were it up to you, you'd likely be out there amongst the revelry, but it's not up to you. Not entirely. Truth be told, this isn't really even your dining room, is it? It surely has never felt quite like it, and as you finish your cider and consider what you are obliged to do, you're painfully aware of exactly why you never felt any ownership over this place, or indeed over much else in your life. Because this house, indeed this moment, belongs instead to Alfred Poole, your late grandfather. Even considering the name blankets your mind with a deep heaviness. He raised you, after all, and his departure from this earth only 5 years ago felt far too sudden, even though by all accounts it was very much his time to go. Your grandfather had lived a studious, diligent life as a professor at Salem State University. He treated you much the same as he treated all his students. Every conversation became a lecture, every evening a new lesson, but none so important as this one.
On Halloween night of your 30th year,
he had often said,
you must go into the attic, open the black chest tucked into the corner, and remove what you find there. You must not do these things before it is time. If you do, what generations before you have fought for will surely be lost. Once you have removed the object, you must continue until the work is finished. I will remind you.
You were only 7 years old the first time he imparted this commandment to you, and at least once a week, every week since, he had repeated it. Of course, you had crept into the attic many times since, to gaze in wonder at the black trunk and speculate what may wait inside. Unfortunately, the trunk was never alone during these visits. Hanging from the front, like a great bell, dangled a solid iron lock that must have been from, at the latest, the 18th century. Its keyhole formed a sort of iris, always watching, always daring you to disobey your grandfather and try to pry open the lid of the trunk. But you never did. A week after his death, you noticed that the lock had vanished. You puzzled over its disappearance briefly, but ultimately concluded that your grandfather must have somehow known his time was nigh and removed it without your knowledge. You held to his wishes and waited 5 long years to open the trunk. 20 minutes ago, you were nervous and anticipatory as you climbed the old wooden ladder into the attic. After all these years, what could it possibly be? As you crept the lid open, nothing could have prepared you for the volume of emptiness inside. The cavernous, dark innards of the old trunk were broken by only a single shock of white, a nondescript, aged envelope. You felt inside the trunk to be sure, and when you were satisfied, brought the envelope with you to the dining room, prepared a warm cider, and placed the plain paper on the table before you. Now, after all these years, the time has finally come to be free of your grandfather's first and last request. His final words had been, after all,
I will remind you.
but he had not reminded you, because you didn't need him to. You remembered. You pick up the envelope, resting so innocently on the table before you. With a deep exhalation, you remove the paper inside and unfold it to reveal some unfamiliar scribbles written carefully in your grandfather's unmistakable pen.